This is ESPN Esports. I'm Ardo Ocal. Let's talk about the big Valorant news as it pertains to the European Valorant scene. Guild Esports, a relatively new organization with a lot of chatter around them, particularly because of who they have as the public face of the company and a lot of financial conversation behind the scenes. They have made their official announcement. They are getting into European Valorant, and they have signed the former team Bonk. Big news on multiple angles. Let's first dive into the Bonk side of things. So, as you know, the Ignition series in Europe, it was dominated by G2, but a lot of people would have put Bonk as the team that was in that conversation for at least top 5 and in many cases top 3, and they've made some impressive strides throughout the entire Ignition series, often placing second in many tournaments, including the mandatory GG Cup and LVL Clash 2, where they did meet G2 in the finals. So the team of Bonkar, Ziz, Draken, Goffe, and Yasine, they all signed with Guild Esports. And if you want to get a glimpse of how difficult of a grind it is for a team like this, not necessarily getting those financial rewards or reaping the benefits that you would when you were signed to a major organization, I had a chance to speak with Yasine a few months ago, and that full interview, it's about half an hour. It's available in our archives at youtube.com/ESPN Esports, and I highly recommend you check it out because it really gives you a glimpse on what Bonk was going through, what Yasine was going through, whether they were speaking with top-tier organizations during the Ignition series in Valorant, and really what the European scene was like, because as you know, the European Valorant scene in terms of major organizations, they weren't so quick to the punch as NA. We saw a lot of organizations invest in Valorant early, and we see a lot of teams in a very blossoming scene in North America, and that's not to say that Europe is not growing steadily also, but it was definitely a few steps behind. So from that point of view, to be able to see Bonk now have a little bit more financial stability, a little bit more structure, and really attack this like professionals, to have that now organizational structure around them, that's going to benefit them greatly. And I think that with this team of 5 that have competed in multiple tournaments over several months, they are a team now. They have that chemistry, and they're going to be able to continue to improve and be able to solely focus on being a Valorant pro. This is very big news and very positive news for the former team Bonk, now involved as Guild Esports. So now that brings us to the other side of the coin, Guild Esports. Of course, there is a lot of conversation around this org and the fact that they have David Beckham as the public face of the company and now an investor. An initial public offering, the first esports franchise to list on the London Stock Exchange. And all the figures that are being thrown out, all the monetary financial numbers that we are hearing, it's dumbfounding. It is very surprising, and also a lot of question marks from people as they hear this information, whether or not this is all something that will be sustainable. So let's catch you up on exactly what is happening with Guild Esports. This is an organization that has been around for about a year or so. They do have players in FIFA as well as Rocket League, and they didn't do terribly in Rocket League this season. They were consistently in the top 5, very competitive in the RLCSX, as in the grid and the regionals. Definitely a team that was in the mix in European Rocket League. They announced David Beckham as the public face of the company. Basically, David Beckham entered an agreement with Guild Esports where he would participate in promotional photo shoots and video shoots and essentially be the public face of Guild Esports. It was then reported by Forbes that this came with around $20 million price tag for Guild Esports. And not only that, but then after that, Beckham invested in the company, which came out to about $319,000. Now, those numbers seem very odd. At first, people were saying, wait a minute, so Guild Esports paid David Beckham $20 million over 5 years just to get a $319,000 investment back? But really what happened here is in and around the same time, Guild Esports was working towards their initial public offering, so becoming a publicly traded company in the London Stock Exchange. Again, as I mentioned, the first esports franchise to do so. And from there, they were able to be valued at $52 million US and raise $26 million through the IPO. So these numbers are staggering, especially for the amount of time that Guild Esports has been around in esports and competitive gaming. I mean, this is not a team like Optic Gaming, or this is not a team like TSM that have had that sort of lineage and history in esports. This is a team that is relatively new and really is known most for having David Beckham as a spokesperson. And so for them to be able to raise that kind of money really goes to show you that perhaps there is a lot of value in being first, particularly to an IPO that we have never seen in the LSE, in the London Stock Exchange. So definitely some benefits to be reaped there for Guild Esports. So it's all very fast and very soon, but now they have made their announcement that they are entering Valorant and they are contributing to the European Valorant scene, as we are on the precipice, of course, of First Strike, Valorant's upcoming tournament that will bring us to the end of the year, that will happen across multiple regions. Of course, that's going to be region specific. We're not going to get any cross-region play just yet. It is not safe to do so, even though the League of Legends World Championship is going on in a Shanghai bubble. That is not the plan for First Strike, though it could lead eventually to a future World Championship in Valorant. And I've said this multiple times in Valorant programming on ESPN Esports. I hope, fingers crossed, that the first LAN event for Valorant, when it is safe to do so, is in fact a world championship. Whether it's an invitational, whether it's an open, even if you bring the best 8 teams from around the world, the ones that were the most competitive in First Strike, or whatever the next tournament series is, and you bring them all together, that's what we want to see. I want to see TSM and Sentinels duke it out in NA. I want to see G2 face the rest of the world based on how they've spoken in social media. That to me will be one of the most compelling esports events of the entire year in a Valorant scene that continues to grow and continues to listen to the community. You have to give Riot a lot of credit for the way that they have unfolded Riot Esports. Now, time will tell, of course, if Guild will enter other esports realms and whether or not they will invest in other esports. But for now, Valorant, that being a very big announcement that Guild Esports has now entered Valorant. Let us know in the comments below what you think of this signing, what you think of Bonk now having a home, whether you're happy for the lads and them being able to have a home and have a steady income by being a part of Guild Esports and having a little bit more stability, but also what you think of Guild Esports. Is there success, or the numbers that are being thrown around, the ones that I've talked about in this video, is it too fast, too soon? Are you concerned that the bubble's gonna burst? Are you concerned that there might be a little bit of nefarious activities going on here? Or maybe they are simply rising from the success and the celebrity of David Beckham being involved? And do you think that this is a long-term viable solution for Guild Esports? Let us know in the comments below what you think. I'm really interested in reading them.